Welcome back to the channel, Smoking Griffin. I am Jonathan Griffin. And last video we worked on the stem here, and we got it looking really nice, ready for the final polish. This next video we're going to spend most of our time on the bowl and on the shank. We have a lot to do here. I first like to work on the bowl. The bowl is actually really clean. It's almost like I already cleaned it, but I'm not sure if I did or not. I don't even remember. I think I might have. It looks really clean. So normally there's quite a bit of char in the bowl. So I have these my set of reamers here. You basically, every bowl shape is and size is different, so you basically got to find one that works the best. And a lot of times they'll taper, so this small one here will get down to the very bottom of the bowl, as you can see there. And then to get more on the upper reaches of the bowl, you can use this larger size. And this one is made by Castleford. It's pretty good. And then you just kind of go back and forth, working off the char. See, I'm not really getting hardly anything here. So it's hard to see inside the bowl, but I don't have any layers of char in there. So I am going to call that good. Okay, so I've got the pipe here. Now what I'm going to do first is I've got two pipe cleaners here, and I am going to fold them in half, both of them, and I'm going to put them together like so. So I've got kind of a sturdy hold there, and I'm going to stick that into the shank like so. And what that'll do is when I put the salt in the bowl, fill this up here. Oops, I'm making a mess. Okay, that's pretty good there. Okay, so now once I put the alcohol in, the pipe cleaners will absorb some of that, and we'll get some cleaning of the inside of the shank as well. At least it'll kind of be soaked a little bit, and that'll help the cleaning process of the shank as well, and draw out any of those impurities. The reason we're doing this is to help draw out some of the any old flavors in the pipe, or you know, help sanitize it, that kind of thing. So these pipe cleaners will help absorb some of that alcohol, and then it'll soak the shank as well. Add just a touch more. And we're going to let that sit for probably a good 8 hours or so. And or if you're doing it, you can leave it overnight, whatever's easiest. And we'll come back and we'll see how it looks. All right, this has been sitting overnight. I left it overnight, so it has been sitting almost a full 24 hours now. So what you want is you really want all the alcohol to dry, and kind of leach out all those impurities. As you can see, the all the stuff that the salt has absorbed there and through here with the pipe cleaners. So I'm just gonna dump this salt out. It's pretty easy to dump out once it's dry. Sometimes you need a little bit of. Right. So I'll pull those out, throw those away. Now we basically have our bowl here. If I can get that to stand up. I'm just gonna take a quick paper towel. Clean it up a little bit. Make sure all the salt is out. Now, depending on the shape of the bowl, sometimes I'll do a light sanding, but it really varies. There's a little bit of salt residue here at the top, so I'll probably I'll get some, I could just even use some alcohol and get that off, get out the rest of that salt residue. And so we'll grab some alcohol. That's kind of my go-to method, is just filling my cap, so I don't use too much. I'm just gonna put a little bit in the paper towel there and just kind of clean the rim a little bit. As you can see, there's still some residue there, so I'll just do a quick wipe. I mean, this is a pipe after all, and it's going to be smoked again, so we want to clean it, make sure it's clean for the next user, sanitized, but at the end of the day, it is still a pipe, and it's made of wood, so it's not going to be 100%. Getting closer. So, and then we take a pipe filter. I usually double it up just to give myself a little bit more kind of leverage inside there. And I'm just gonna go into the shank here and just give it a nice little wipe down. We want to get that as clean as possible. Like I said, this is wood, so it's a little bit more difficult to get the wood as clean as you do, say, the stem, which is basically just a hard plastic. rubber, vulcanized rubber, whatever. So I'm going to keep going on this for a few more until it gets a little bit cleaner, and then we'll check back. All right, so I have some water, and I have a magic eraser. I'm going to try to take some of this char off of the rim here. As you can see, there's a little bit of caked right here on this, more on this side. And if you take your magic eraser, I've put a little water on it, soaked it, and then if you just rub it into the magic eraser, then it does a pretty good job of taking the char and just the chard off here. I like to do this, especially with an angle. So this bowl has an angled top. I don't know if you can see, but that is more difficult to recreate. If I was just to kind of top it off, or if I use sandpaper, sometimes it's harder to it's harder to do it at the right angle, and you kind of mess it up. So this is basically just trying to get that char off. It takes a bit, but as you can see, it's starting to work here. So I'm going to keep going at this and see if I can get all of that char off, and see you back in a sec. So I think I got most of it. As you can see, I think the only remains is a little bit of grain. I'm going to take this. You have to be somewhat careful depending on what you're going to do with your pipe. The magic eraser will take the finish off of your pipe, but I find especially if you want to kind of refinish it and it's got tons of grime on here, even just a little wipe from the magic eraser will kind of take that away without you sanding and danger of taking away logos and stamps and things like that. So sometimes I will just do magic eraser and get a lot of that grime off, and then you can kind of see what you're dealing with here. So as you can see, there. I think once this is properly re-stained and polished really nicely, this is going to be a really beautiful pipe because it's got some really great, beautiful grain here, and there's some burl in the rim too, which will turn out really nice. You can see the Marxman logo and the Royal, nice deep Royal stamp there on the side of the shank. Okay, so we're looking good there. I'm going to just add a little bit of my alcohol, and I'm just going to give this a little rub down. Alcohol will also take away stain. So if you've got like a freshly stained pipe and you rub it with alcohol, you will take all that stain off, basically. So you do have to be careful. If you're doing this on a pipe that you don't want to, like if you're restoring, just doing a quick clean for somebody's pipe and you use alcohol on it, you got to be careful because you will take all the stain off and then you'll have to refinish it for them instead of just cleaning it up. So you have to keep that in mind. But this is kind of a full restoration, and so I don't mind doing the magic eraser on it and doing the alcohol. Okay, so bowl's clean, rim is clean, the outside is fairly clean. Doesn't really look like there are many places on here that need touch-up sanding wise. I think it's fairly clean. There really aren't even that many fills, which is a good sign. So a really kind of quality piece of burr. All right, and that's that. All right, we're gonna try to fix this crack in the shank now. I'm going to kind of create for myself a little, maybe I'll do it on this lid, a little paint palette type deal where I can just peel it off and not worry about super glue and things like that. So we're gonna use just some crazy glue, super glue, but I'm gonna tint it just a little bit, just to be crazy. So we've got a little bit of medium brown, and maybe we'll just stick with medium brown. I've got my super glue here. I'll squeeze a bit in. Please be careful when you're using super glue. Please. You don't want to mess around with that stuff. All right, so I'm just gonna give it a little. Now we gotta move quickly here. I don't want the super glue to set. So we're just gonna put excess amounts right into the crack. And then we can file any excess off later. And I'm doing it without the stem because the crack is fairly sizable and I don't want super glue running through the crack and super gluing the stem into the pipe. That would be irreparable, I think. All right. So I think, as you can see, so we'll try to go with that. there's a tiny little kind of notch there at the end that I'm trying to just get to fill in. Okay. So I think we'll leave it there. Let it dry. And I'm going to put a little bit of clamp on it, just like so. And we're just going to let that dry. So we're not going to do any work on it while it dries, so we'll see you. I'm going to let this kind of dry and cure for probably at least 12 hours. All right. We'll see you when it's dry. So it has been a few days since I glued this. Haven't had time to work on it, but it's been a few days since we repaired this crack in the shank, and now it is time to file it down. So I have my files. I think I'm gonna work on the end of the shank first. And I have just a flat file, so I had to go inside the end here. So basically, I'm just gonna take my files and try to file as much of the super glue off without taking wood off underneath, which is easier said than done at times, but so we're gonna give it a go. I I tend to have, when I file, my personal preference is to use a curved file. I don't know if you can see this. Sorry. Curved file. Kind of, it's like a half moon file. I just have more control. I feel like I have more control. Whether I actually do or not, I'm not sure. But so I'm just gonna try to take as much of this glue off and trying to keep the shape of the shank at the same time. So I'm just gonna keep doing that and get down to the wood without taking too much actual wood off. And then, so basically the only glue that will be left is actually inside the crack. So I'm gonna get going on this and we'll check back in here in a little bit. All right, so I have worked on this a little bit, and as you can see, it's a little dark there. I've got most of the excess off. It's hard to tell, but I'm gonna put the files away, at least for this top part, and probably go at it a little bit with some sandpaper and see if I can get the grains a little bit more even and matched up. I think we'll be able to get it so it doesn't look out of the ordinary there. I do have a little bit of buildup of crazy glue inside, so I am going to grab, I have a round file here that I'm going to file the inside glue out of there, because currently I can't even get the stem in, so it's just too tight because of some excess super glue in there. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully I'll be able to get the stem back in, and then we'll be ready to make some final decisions on what we want to do color-wise and finish. So, all right, we'll see you soon. All right, so slight hiccup here. I took the file and filed down the inside of the shank, and then put a little bit too much pressure on the shank, forced the stem in there, and re-cracked the crack, or reopened the crack here. So what I've done is I put a piece of tape on the top of the tongue here. So when I put it in there, I'm gonna put some more super glue on here, but I don't want the stem to get super glued inside the pipe. So hopefully that will help, and I'm just going to put a little bit more glue. I'm gonna do it without the stain, because I'm kind of wondering if the stain is weakening the bond, because it is fairly alcoholic. So I'm just going to do that. We're going to let that dry, and then we'll try again. All right, so I've let this cure. My second attempt at getting this crack. Now we'll go through the process of filing it down again. Like I said last time, I usually like my half moon file the best. So we're just gonna start here. You want to make sure that you're not just, well, you want to make sure that you're maintaining the shape of the shank and not just filing in one spot, because you're bound to take some wood, so you don't want to change the shape. I'm going to keep working on this, and we'll check back in a bit. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got most of the excess off, and I'm gonna just take my rough sandpaper pad here and see if I can kind of smooth it out a little bit more. I'm kind of afraid that I'm gonna take too much material off with the file. So I think, as you can see, it is darker there where the glue is. I think once we stain it, I think that will disappear. Or it won't disappear, it'll blend in more. Because I've taken a lot of the stain off of the rest of the pipe. So we'll probably, hopefully, be able to match that color right there. So I'm gonna go at this a little bit more, and then we'll check back in. Okay, I'm back. So I sanded down the shank, and as you can see, the crack is fairly prevalent. I went ahead and did a whole round of sandpapers, and I noticed the shank and the stem fitting has never been great. So I figured while I was touching up this part with sanding that I would try to make the fit just a little bit better, the transition between the shank and the stem here. So I basically took my sandpaper and did basically from here on the shank to about here on the stem. So I sanded it this way, like across. And so that basically there was excess material on the shank part. And so that's evened it out a little bit. It's hard to tell from the camera and in a video, but it fits much better. The transition is a lot smoother. There's still some slight gaps in between, but this is not a super expensive pipe that was made, so kind of the fit and finish was never really top of the line, so you're gonna kind of get that with these types of pipes, and who knows how they've kind of changed over its lifespan. So there's a few, if you hold it up to the light, you can kind of see some light on the sides in between in the gap around the tongue. But I think given the pipe's age, and I think we'll just leave it and call it good enough. But I'm hoping once we kind of stain this, that the crack will kind of blend in with the grain here, kind of the striations. So what we'll do is probably do a layer of black on here, and then we'll sand that down and then add a layer of probably brown, and then polish that out. So that's pretty much all of the grunt work on this pipe. Now we just have to do the finishing. So add some color, do some final sanding and polishing, and we should be set. So we're getting close on this Marxman Royal. It's, like I said, it's not an expensive pipe, and it wasn't kind of manufactured to be a really expensive pipe, but it's not a Dunhill, it's not a Savinelli Punto Oro, it's not some of those, or some of the more expensive handmade pieces that you can find out there today. But you know, it's a fun, cool old pipe that I think deserves another life. So we're getting there. Thanks for watching. See you soon.